Now, more on that fiscal cliff for you. US politicians have again failed to reach a deal to stop the country falling off the edge of that fiscal cliff. They'll resume talks later to try to prevent a series of automatic tax rises and spending cuts, which could return the country into recession. Let's talk to US political analyst Dr. James Boyes and our economics editor Ed Conway here as well. Morning, gents.
Morning to you.
Before we get our heads around the economics of it all, James, a quick word, if we can, about Hillary Clinton and this health scare, the blood clot, which she's now being treated for. Can a health scare like this seriously dent Mrs. Clinton's political ambitions?
It could do, because, of course, questions were already being raised about her age. She's in her mid-60s now. By the time she was to run in 4 years' time, she'd be in her late 60s. People would question whether that was too old generally, perhaps, for an American president in this day and age. Being in this sort of medical state, if she's having blood clots, etc., etc., and it's going to be another stick to beat her with by potential political opponents come 4 years, I think. OK, well, we'll, of course, keep you up to date with her condition as we get more details through, but let's return to the economics of it all. You did a great explainer on the Sky News iPad app, Ed, about the fiscal cliff, but for those who didn't see it, just talk us through what it is, because I mean the thing that sticks in my mind more than anything else is the parody on The Simpsons.
And it's like, to take another cartoon, it's like the moments in the Roadrunner cartoons where Wile E. Coyote's he's running, he goes over the ledge and his legs are still going round and he's yet to realise that he's about to plunge down. It's the economic equivalent of that. In essence, there are a whole load of spending increases and spending cuts, rather, and tax increases that are due to come in over the course of the next few months, and indeed they kick in tomorrow on January the 1st, unless the Congress and the President can agree a deal to essentially get rid of them. And the impact of that, according to the Congressional Budget Office, which is an independent part of the US administration, according to that, it would be a recession. It would cause a recession if that were to kick in. But most people think that although they may go through the cliff in the next few days, that they might roll back thereafter. And it's the American way to try and do things, you know, to have brinksmanship, to have last-minute deals, and you never really know what can happen.
This really is pushing it to the wire, James. There's no doubt about it. Can a satisfactory deal be done in what's left of today, or indeed even if they row back over the coming week?
It's interesting. Senators were good enough, and members of Congress good enough, to come in on a Sunday to discuss this, which is unprecedented pretty much since the early 1970s. I think that it's looking increasingly unlikely that they're going to get anything in place by midnight tonight. As Ed was alluding to, the idea could be that they could go over the cliff, and the President, I think there's been suggestions that what the administration could do is the first bill in a new session could be to introduce tax cuts for the middle classes. This could have all been sorted out, of course, many, many times beforehand, but the only reason this has come to the head like this is because a super committee in the summer of 2011 said, if you guys can't get a budget sorted out by 18 months from now, effectively, these stringent cuts and tax rises will come in. Nobody, I don't think, at that point thought it would possibly get to the wire like this, but as we were discussing earlier on, it's the American way. It's get down to the wire, it's brinksmanship, and it's no way to run the world's greatest superpower, quite frankly.
Why do we care, Ed, in all of this? I mean, the bottom line is, I suppose, if the the US goes into recession, what impact is it going to have on the UK and on the rest of Europe?
And it always has a big impact. When the US is going to face a recession, whatever's going on with the US economy, it impacts on the rest of the world. It's the world's biggest economy. And most forecasters have based their forecasts on the notion that America will sort this out. They wouldn't go over the fiscal cliff, would they? Now it looks like they may well do so. And so everyone will have to go back to their forecasts, and maybe it may well be that the UK economy grows less strongly, maybe even faces that triple dip that everyone's been talking about recently as a result of this. And also, the US, it's the last time this happened, there was a similar incident like this with the US failing to agree on the debt ceiling, which is another thing that may happen again this time around. The US lost its AAA credit rating, so it may well face another cut to its credit rating from other agencies, so that could be another political blow as well.
And just briefly, Ed, how quickly could we see, if this goes sort of over the edge, or even if they come to a not very satisfactory conclusion today, when the markets open here in the UK and indeed across Europe, are we going to see a pretty immediate impact?
Well, it'll be interesting to see that, really, because that'll be the test case today and then indeed in the new year. But these things can be quite immediate, and even looking at consumer confidence in the US, you've had a couple of measures recently showing that consumer confidence has already gone off the cliff because people are so worried about the impact, and this will mean immediate tax rises for a lot of people if it comes into place. So it could be quite immediate, and the markets will be the judge.
OK, gents, for now, thanks very much indeed.
Thanks, Steve.